Heading into every NHL season, we always have questions about pretty much every team, whether it's something like wondering if an off-season addition is going to pay dividends, wondering if players on certain teams can bounce back from a bad year, stuff like that. It's pretty easy to find one question for every single team, so that is exactly what I'm going to do in today's video. I'm going to go over one question for every single NHL team heading into the 2020-2021 season. Feel free to get down there in the comment section and try and predict what the answer to the question for your favorite team will be. Also, be sure to go follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to talk hockey somewhere other than YouTube. Links to those will be down below in the description. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers, so if you're new here and you want more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with all that out of the way, let's begin. Starting off with the Anaheim Ducks, my question for them is, can John Gibson bounce back? This past season was pretty much the only mediocre year he's had in his NHL career. We know that John Gibson is one of the league's best goaltenders, he just didn't really play like that this past season. And if the Anaheim Ducks want to get anywhere near a playoff spot, I think he has to play at a Vezina level. Arizona, can they just get back on track as an organization? I'm not really talking about on-ice performance because they had an alright year, they made the playoffs, they beat Nashville in the play-in round. I'm talking about the behind the scenes stuff, you know, from the illegal testing of prospects, them having to forfeit a bunch of draft picks, and then in the 2020 draft, they used their highest draft pick on Mitchell Miller. They weren't going to renounce him, and then from fan backlash, they wound up renouncing him. They've just been a complete disaster, so I'm just kind of wondering what they're going to do to get back on track. At least their reverse retro jersey's pretty nice. The Boston Bruins, I'm wondering how they're going to fare if Marchand and Pastrnak miss some time to start the season. Brad Marchand underwent surgery on September 14th. The timetable for his recovery was roughly 4 months from that date. David Pastrnak had surgery September 16th. His recovery time is about 5 months, so if the season starts on January 1st, which everybody's hoping, they definitely look like they're going to miss some time. And in a shortened season, which this upcoming season is going to be, we just don't know exactly how short, even if each of those guys miss like 10 games, that could be devastating for Boston. The Buffalo Sabres, this one was pretty easy. Can they be consistent? It's happened in each of the past 2 seasons. They showed so much promise throughout the first month or so, and then they would just completely fall off of a cliff. Hopefully the additions of guys like Eric Staal and Taylor Hall help prevent that from happening again. Calgary, my question for them is, can Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan bounce back? These two were dominant in the 2018-19 season. Gaudreau put up 99 points, Sean Monahan scored 34 goals and had 82 points, and this past season was definitely kind of disappointing for both of those guys and for the Calgary Flames in general. They weren't near as good of a team as they were the season prior. If the Flames want to get back to being one of the best teams in the Western Conference, then their star players have to play like star players. The Carolina Hurricanes, my question for them is, are they going to be able to sign Dougie Hamilton to an extension before he hits unrestricted free agency next offseason? This should definitely be one of Carolina's top priorities, and if it bleeds into the season and Hamilton picks up where he left off before the injury that sat him out for the rest of the regular season, they are going to want to get this done as soon as possible and just not get anywhere close to losing somebody like Dougie Hamilton for nothing in free agency. The Chicago Blackhawks, I'm just really curious to see what the future holds for guys like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. We all know the Blackhawks pretty much openly came out and said to their fans that they are rebuilding and are looking towards developing the younger players. So what does that mean for guys like Kane, Toews, and you can throw Keith into there as well? I'm just really interested to see what the plans are for them. The Colorado Avalanche, are they going to live up to the hype? If you asked 1,000 hockey fans who they think is going to win the Stanley Cup this upcoming season, I bet about 70% of them would say the Avalanche. You look at sports betting, the early favorites to win the Stanley Cup are the Colorado Avalanche. There's a lot of hype around this team. Everybody thinks they're going to be really good, and that is for good reason. So it'll be interesting to see if the Avalanche live up to all the hype that they're getting, and if they're as good of a team as everyone thinks they're going to be. Next, we have the Blue Jackets. I'm really interested to see who their starting goaltender is going to be, or if they even have one. Maybe they go with like a 1A, 1B type of thing, where Merzlikins and Korpisalo play the same amount of games, or close to it. Both guys are obviously coming off of a fantastic year. Merzlikins got a nice little contract extension. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. The Dallas Stars, my question for them is, who is going to step up in the absence of Tyler Seguin, who underwent hip surgery on November 2nd. He's expected to be back around early April. Seguin is Dallas's #1 center. He's not going to be easy to replace. Do you want a 36-year-old Joe Pavelski playing a #1 center role? Ideally, probably not. Roope Hintz, I would say, is the more realistic candidate. He just had a great year. It would be fantastic for for Dallas if he's able to take another step and fill that role while Sagan's out, but we'll have to wait and see. The Detroit Red Wings, are they still the worst team in the NHL? They've definitely gotten better over the offseason with the additions Steve Yzerman has made, but how much better? I still can't see them being good. They'll probably still be pretty bad, but are they still the worst? Next, we have the Oilers, and I'm just really intrigued to see how Jesse Puljujarvi plays. He just had a great season in the Liga. It seems like he's definitely matured. I'm sure the Oilers are going to give Puljujarvi every opportunity to play with McDavid or to play with Leon Draisaitl, and let's just hope Puljujarvi grabs that opportunity and runs with it and is finally able to put it together at the NHL level.
The Florida Panthers, my question for them is, can they get playoff caliber goaltending? Sergei Bobrovsky in the first year of his massive contract was pretty bad, and it wasn't just Bobrovsky either. Samuel Montembeault had an .890 save percentage in the games that he played. If Florida wants to be a playoff team this upcoming season, they need better goaltending, especially from somebody you're paying $10 million a season for. Moving along now, we have the LA Kings. I'm really interested to see what their plans are for Lias Andersson, who they acquired at the 2020 draft. I don't think they would have traded away a second round pick if they didn't plan on him having at least some type of role on the Kings this upcoming season. I said it in a recent video, but behind Kopitar, the center position is wide open in Los Angeles. Gabe Vilardi could be that second line center, maybe it could be Quentin Byfield, or it could even be somebody like Lias Andersson. I'm just really interested to see what type of season he has. Hopefully a fresh start with the Kings can really kickstart his career. The Minnesota Wild, my question to them, is it time to bottom out? What I mean by that is it time to just blow it up and enter full rebuild mode? Because the Wild have been a team who, like, over the past decade have sort of just been mediocre. They're always, in and around a playoff spot. If they get into the playoffs, nobody really expects them to do any damage. With the moves that they've made this offseason, it's hard to think that they've got any better. They definitely have a lot of young players. Kirill Kaprizov coming in, everybody has high expectations for him, getting Marco Rossi, but I really think like a top 3 pick would be extremely beneficial for Minnesota's future, so I'm kind of just wondering what direction they're going to go. Next, we have the Montreal Canadiens. Are the offseason additions going to pay off? They had a really busy offseason. They traded for and extended Jake Allen to back up Carey Price. They traded for and signed Joel Edmondson to a contract. They signed Tyler Toffoli to a pretty solid deal in free agency. Of course, they traded Max Domi in a pick to bring in Josh Anderson. There's a lot of new faces in Montreal. So yeah, my only question is all the money that they spent on these new players, all the assets that they gave up to bring them in, is it going to pay off? The Nashville Predators, I'm wondering if the Stanley Cup window has closed on them. Over the past 5-6 years, they've always been looked at as a contender in the Western Conference, and then this past season, they were pretty disappointing. We're still able to get into the play-in round, but of course lost to the Arizona Coyotes. So where do they go from here? Are they going to get back to being that powerhouse and contending team in the West, or like I said, has that window closed on them? The New Jersey Devils, my question for them is Jack Hughes ready to make a big leap? Everybody knows he had a disappointing rookie season. You had some people jumping the gun a little bit and already calling him a bust. Definitely don't go that far after just one season, but if he has another season like the one that he just had, then yeah, maybe it is time to worry a little bit, but hopefully for the Devils he can make a big leap and become one of New Jersey's top offensive players. The New York Islanders, how are they going to get out of the cap crunch that they are currently in? They don't have near enough money to re-sign Matthew Barzal. There is contracts that I'm sure they'd love to move, Johnny Boychuk's, Andrew Ladd's, but with the way things are in the NHL right now, not a lot of teams having a ton of cap space, those contracts are probably going to be near impossible to unload. They would definitely have to attach some nice assets with one of those contracts to move them. If they can't do that, then maybe they look to move somebody like Jordan Eberle. I'm just really interested to see how Lou Lamoriello gets himself out of this thing. Next, we have the Rangers. I'm really curious to see who Alexis Lafreniere winds up playing with to start the season. In my Calder Trophy Power Rankings video, I had him at number 3 behind Igor Shesterkin and Kirill Kaprizov, but if Lafreniere starts the season on a line with like Ryan Strome and Artemi Panarin, then that could be scary, and he definitely could put up a ton of points and maybe even run away with the Calder, who knows. Next up, we have the Senators, and my question is, how big of an impact are the rookies going to have? Guys like Josh Norris, who just had a season in which he lit up the American Hockey League. I'm sure he's ready to make that leap into the NHL. Tim Stützle, of course, who was their 3rd overall pick. I think he probably plays right away. If those two guys can come
come in and have a huge impact right away. On top of that, you have guys like Brady Tkachuk, Colin White, they signed Evgeny Dadonov, you got Matt Murray in net now. Like, this Ottawa team may just surprise some people. The Philadelphia Flyers, my question is, can they finally break the streak? If you don't know what streak I'm referring to, I'm talking about them making the playoffs one year and then missing it the next. It's been going on for a while. They made the playoffs in 2012, missed it in 2013, made it in 2014, missed it in 2015, made it in 2016, missed it in 2017, made it in 2018, missed it in 2019, and then of course made it in 2020. Can they finally make it for 2 consecutive seasons? The Pittsburgh Penguins, my question is, did they make the right decision choosing Tristan Jarry over Matt Murray? Yes, Tristan Jarry obviously had a much better season than Matt Murray did. He was an all-star for the Penguins, but also he's only played a total of 62 NHL games. Matt Murray, on the other hand, he has a ton of experience for his age. He's already won 2 Stanley Cups. It'll be interesting to see who has the better season. The San Jose Sharks, this one was pretty easy. I'm wondering if a goaltending tandem of Martin Jones and Devan Dubnyk can work. I've said it on the channel multiple times since they went out and acquired Dubnyk. I don't really know what the thought process was there. Both of these guys were pretty miserable this past season, and Martin Jones was over the past 2 seasons. Goaltending in the NHL is extremely up and down and random though, so I wouldn't be surprised if both of these guys bounce back and have a great season, but I'm definitely pretty skeptical. The St. Louis Blues, are they still a contender without Alex Pietrangelo? They signed Torrey Krug, so that should soften the blow of losing Pietrangelo a little bit, but in pretty much every aspect of the game, maybe besides power play, Pietrangelo is significantly better than Krug, so they're definitely going to miss him. It's just how much are they going to miss him, and how much is it going to affect the team? The Tampa Bay Lightning, who is going to be the odd man out? They're in a cap crunch. They have to re-sign both Anthony Cirelli and Mikhail Sergachev. They attempted to clear some space by putting Tyler Johnson on waivers, but nobody wanted that contract. So maybe to clear some space, they have to look to move somebody who actually has a lot more value than Tyler Johnson does. It's going to be interesting to see what Tampa Bay decides to do. The Toronto Maple Leafs, this one's pretty simple. Can they win a playoff round? It's now been 4 consecutive playoffs with first round exits, or I guess you can't really call this past one a first round exit because technically it was in the play-in round, but still it was Toronto losing in the first round that they played in. I think they did get better over the offseason. I believe Kyle Dubas did a really good job while not really having a ton of cap space. We'll see if this is the Leafs team that can finally win a playoff round. On paper, they have an amazing lineup. The Vancouver Canucks, can they overcome all the UFA losses? Tyler Toffoli signing in Montreal, Tanev and Markstrom and Levo all signing in Calgary, Troy Stetcher signing in Detroit. They did acquire Nate Schmidt from the Golden Knights, which is a great pickup. He's a significant upgrade from somebody like Chris Tanev. They signed Braden Holtby. Hopefully himself and Thatcher Demko can make up a real solid tandem. I'm just really intrigued to see if this Vancouver team got better or if they got worse. Next up, we have the Golden Knights. There's not too many holes on this roster. On paper, it's pretty stacked, but I am interested to see who is going to play in that second line center spot, most likely in between Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone. This past season, it was Paul Stastny, but of course now he's a member of the Winnipeg Jets. So is it going to be somebody like Chandler Stevenson, who after being traded to Vegas from Washington was actually really solid for them? Or is it somebody like Cody Glass, who actually started the 2019-20 season between Stone and Pacioretty? Is he ready to take on that role full-time? The Washington Capitals, I actually made this video last offseason, and I tried to stay away from asking the same questions in this video as I did in that one, but for Washington, I'm sticking with the same one as I did last time. Is Ovechkin finally ready to slow down? He mustn't realize that he's getting pretty old. He's still scoring like an absolute machine, but at some point he has to slow down, doesn't he? And finally, the Winnipeg Jets, are you trading Patrik Laine or not? Early in the offseason, this was the hottest rumor out there. It was pretty well known that the Jets were looking to move on from Patrik Laine, which is pretty crazy to think about, and ever since then, the rumors have really died down. We don't really hear much about it anymore, so I'm just wondering, are they going to try to fix things, or are they still looking to trade him? So that is going to wrap up today's video. That was one question for every single NHL team heading into the 2020-2021 season. Like I said at the start of the video, be sure to go down there in the comment section and let me know what you think the answer to some of these questions might be. Of course, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.